Good morning, students. We begin with the first chapter of geography, chapter number 5, and the name of the chapter is Industries. We have been learning about various kinds of procurements of things. How does a human being strive hard to earn his livelihood? What all processes are involved in it? Now, in this particular chapter, we are going to learn thoroughly about what kind of activities are involved in the making of the final product which comes to the consumer. Like, for example, this is a pencil in my hand. Now, if I ask you what is the raw material which had been used in the making of this pencil, you would say, ma'am, wood. Then you would say lead. Then there's a covering of paint on it, some designing, and then to give this particular pencil a shape, you'll be requiring a machine. Now, when all these activities are done, when the entire process of making a pencil has come to an end, then you are ready to pay money for this particular pencil. If I give you separately raw material which is needed to make a pencil, like wood and lead, and then say go buy this from me, when you make your own final product, you would say no, I'm not interested in it as a consumer. The secondary activities which are involved in the process of making a product, the manufacturing process, actually make the entire raw materials into a finished product which has got a value. And industry, the term industry is actually the covering of all the processes which are is the name which covers all the aspects of making the product and making it reach to the consumer as well. Huh? If this pencil is made in Agra and the pencil is there only and I can't buy it, still it's not possible for the company to make any profit or for the consumer to use that particular product. So industry, the term industry is at a very macro level, at a very bigger level, like I would say, comprises of all the activities which come under the process of making a finished product. That means procurement of raw material, processing of the raw material, advertising of the raw material, transportation of the advertising of the finished product, transportation of the finished product, marketing skills, everything comes under the category of industry. That name, industry. Now, on the basis of certain things, certain industries can be classified under various categories. So the first thing let's discuss is on the basis of raw materials, how are industries classified, under what scanner are they classified. So the first thing we take is agro-based industries. Now the word agro itself means agriculture. So here comes, you can guess easily, agro-based industries are actually those industries which procure raw materials from plants and animals. So if I now take an example, now I have to cite examples. Now agro-based, how can a plant be a raw material for an industry? So I would say, like, if you have to eat cornflakes, but that's a finished product, okay? Now that comes in a nice packing, and then you see the ad also on the television about it, and then what do? You just put it in a bowl and add some milk and sugar in it and gobble it down. But the product which has been used over there is a plant product, which is the basis of making that particular product which you have been consuming. That is, growing of corn is the actual process first to make it, and then its face is changed. It is processed in such a way that it becomes flaky and crispy, and then some added on flavors are added to it, so to enhance the flavor over there, and so the customer likes it. So this is one of the examples of plant. Next comes minerals. Next comes animals. Now, how can an animal be? Like if you say Amul, Amul has got lots of products of cheese, butter, curd, milk. So all these are based on animal products. Supposedly we're talking about leather industry. Where do you get leather from? You get from the animals only. So agro-based industries are those whose raw materials which they need come from plants and animals. I've cited 2-3 examples. Next comes mineral-based industry. Now, when we were doing minerals and ores in that chapter, you knew that iron is extracted from iron ore. Now, when iron is extracted, what do we do with it? We have plenty of things to do with iron. We can make construction based products on it. Like if you've seen a house being constructed or a building being constructed, there's a lot of steel and iron products which are used in it. The frames of your windows, of your doors, and the lifts, the elevators, and the rods which are actually laid down in the foundation of the building, everything is made of iron. So, and you see the railway tracks which are laid over there for the train to run on it. So that is also made out of iron. So many things are involved with the process of iron, with the process of extraction of ores from the minerals. So this kind of industry, mineral-based industry, will extract, firstly, that would be the raw product, that would be the raw material of the basic product which they want to make. That would be coming from a mineral-based industry. The thing what they make will have a raw material from based on the minerals extraction. Next comes marine-based industries. Now, marine over here is related to sea or ocean life. So what can you extract from oceans and seas? Yes, fishing is an important activity over there. You then process the food and make it turn into tin food, canned food, and then you when the availability of that particular resource is not there, when the lean months of that particular thing is going on, so you can sell it off in the form of tin food or canned food. So that's on marine-based ones. Then you have foreign-based industries. Like if you take the example of a book, like let's take the example of this book. Now this book has come to you as a finished product. This is a finished product in your hand, but it requires wood. The pulp of the wood is required over here. Then some elements are changed over there. It is processed, and then the paper is made. Then the printing is done. Then the binding is done. Then again the advertising is done, and then this book comes to you as a finished product. But from where were the raw materials picked up? Yes, it was from the forest. Not only this, we can take up industries based on forest-based produce, have medicinal industries as well. The medicines which can be extracted from the forest, the rubber which can be extracted from the forest. So all these things will be taken in the raw form, and then the finished product would be made. So based on your raw materials, you have agro-based, mineral-based, marine-based and forest-based. Now let's discuss on the basis of size, which industries, how can you categorize the industries? So on the basis of the size of the industry, so size here includes the amount of capital which has been invested, that is amount of money, how much it has been invested, the number of people who are working there, and the amount of production. So the production, the money investment, and the people working over there are the deciding factors on the basis of size on which you would declare that an industry is a small scale one or a large scale one. So let's take examples of small scale industries. So small scale industries, I can give you the examples of pottery making and weaving, and then I would say the cottage industries, where the amount of investment put in money is less. Not, I would say, very less, but yes, in comparison with the large scale industries, it is less. The number of people who are working over there also are limited, because the production is not that much. The production is, I would say, it suffices the needs of those many people who are working in that particular industry. It suffices their needs. Now the technology used in that kind of an industry would not be that sophisticated, or wouldn't be that prosperous, or that wouldn't be that good when compared to a large scale industry. So these small scale industries you can find in many places where the production is less and the investment is low and the number of people who are working for it, and you would not see much of advertisements also here and there for it. They wouldn't invest so much because their I would say their arena, the work area is lesser when compared to the large scale industries. Now large scale industries, like take example of those industries which make machines. Now the industries which make machines will require a huge area for the industry to be established firstly. Now the building has to be constructed where this entire process has to be done. Now if the building has to be after the building gets constructed, the machinery is to be installed first to make, let's take automobile industry, a car is to be made. Now these machines which make the car, different parts of the car, components of the car have to be installed in that particular building, and for that you need labor, you need the engineers, you need the operators of the machines, you need the technical people also and non-technical staff also, you need people to maintain your accounts also. So see, the number of people are now increasing as per the demand of the industry's production. Because the production rate is high, the machinery used is of latest technology. They cannot afford a backward kind of technology over there and expect their finished product to compete in the market. Then when they have lots of competition in the market, they have to advertise their products, then they use advertisements, then they make advertisements, they shell out a lot of money on that. See, capital investment again comes into action over here. Now when the production, when everything is done, when there's a rise in demand for their products, they increase the production also. Such industries have something called shares also in the market. You buy shares of certain companies and you invest in the company, because when the company yields profit, they give you a part of the profit. So those are the large scale industries based on all the processes involved on the basis of economic activities, the production activities and the labor activities involved over here. So here on the basis of size you can segregate them into two categories, small scale and large scale. Last comes on the basis of ownership, under what categories the industries are categorized. The first comes private sector industry. As the name suggests, the entire control of the industries, the decision making, the appointments, all whatever has to be done with the industries for its progress, or if it's running into losses, if it has to be shut down, the entire power lies in the hands of the people who own it, who started it, whose money was invested. वो company उनकी है, is their private property. So private sector industries are those which are owned completely by the people who have invested money in it, and it's their own money. Next comes public sector. As it says public sector, the entire control of administration in this particular industry, the decision making lies in the hands of the government. Totally under the control of the government. All the decisions will be taken by the government. Steel Authority of India is one of the examples of public sector industry. Then comes a joint sector. Now joint sector industries are where the state actually the ownership is of, a part of the ownership is of the state, and then a group of individuals are involved in it who join together with a common interest, and then you see that the industry runs on the basis of, I would say, 50-50 discretionary power of the both. So when the state intervenes in particular process of growing something or making something, so that's a joint sector industry. The example of this is Maruti Udyog, where I would say a private part of it is also involved and the government part of it is also involved. Then comes a cooperative sector. this is quite amusing, where the seller and the buyer come together. Like, there's excessive production of milk in the villages. Now, it is not that the milkmen over there would sell the milk only and only to the villagers, because it is quite a lot of quantity. Now, what would he do? His necessity is to sell it off. Now, the people who are in the I would say the urban areas need milk. Now they are finding deficit of it. So these people and these people come together in a cooperative sector, where this kind of a dairy, this thing can be exchanged, where containers are sent and milk is collected, and then the vendors, those who are actually adding on to their profit over there, they buy from them and they go and sell it to the people who actually require it. This kind of hand in glove transaction of things is coined under the term of cooperative sector. So many dairy industries which are quite a good success in the urban areas are actually cooperative sector industries. So that was all for this particular lecture. The rest of it I will be teaching in the next class. Thank you, dear.